Welcome to the All Out Leadership Podcast, hosted by Pastor Eric Lawson, where each episode is uniquely designed to help you live all out by bringing you practical leadership from a biblical perspective delivered in 10 minutes or less. So whether you're a business leader, serving in ministry, or simply looking to grow in your leadership, this podcast is for you. Before we dive into this week's topic, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and download the show notes at ericlawson.com/podcast. And while you're at it, feel free to share the content on social media. Now, let's join Pastor Eric for this week's conversation.
Welcome to another edition of the All Out Leadership Podcast. We are looking at goal setting, and we are in week 4 of the wrong motivators when we are setting goals. Last week, we looked at feeling-based goals. We don't set goals based on creating a feeling. Feeling's just going to be a byproduct of becoming the right person. Today, I want to talk about something that might initially sound similar, but it is a little bit different, and that is what I call happy goals. People often set goals because they want to be happy. But the problem with happiness is it's fleeting, and it's really more of a destination disease that we tend to get. And here's what I mean by that. When I get to such and such place, I'll then be happy. When I get married, I'll be happy. When I have kids, I'll be happy. When my kids move out, they'll be happy. When my kids start coming back and visiting me now because they got their own lives, then I'll be happy. When I get to a certain status, I'll be happy. Certain corner office, certain level of income. Happiness tends to be rooted on some type of destination, some place and time to achieve, and you can't always control those outcomes. Therefore, happiness is really a fleeting goal. It's not the right goal. So I like this statement. Happiness isn't a race for a place, but a rest in God's best. Say it again. Happiness isn't a race for a place, but a rest in God's best. When we look at the book of Philippians, it's known as the book of joy. It's really a book of happiness. And the word joy and rejoicing appears 19 times. But Paul wrote this letter from a Roman jail cell. But yet, how in the world is it known as a book of joy? I thought it would be known as the book of Lamentations, the New Testament version of Lamentations. But it's not. It's a whole book about joy. Philippians 4:12. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through Christ, which gives me strength. That is the out of context quoted verse, I think, in the Bible. Well, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. I never hear anybody quote it in the context. You know what? I don't feel like I have enough money this week, but I can do all things through Christ. I can have joy. I can still have happiness in spite of what's not in my bank account. So Paul understands that it's not I have a bunch or I have little. Joy is independent of my circumstances. It's independent of the place that I'm at the time. It's really a location of the heart. It's a location of the mind. You know, I've driven over the years to Disney World, taking my kids when they were small. It was much cheaper than buying a bunch of plane tickets. However, I'm not sure I actually saved anything because not everything that's valuable is money. Like sanity, I think often is more valuable than money. I've lost a lot of sanity on the way of saving money driving to Disney World because here I am in a car full of screaming kids on the way to the happiest place on earth, but it was hell getting there. And nobody loved each other. Nobody had a good time when we were there because we were so angry getting there. And that's really so often what happens in people's journey. They go, I got this destination. If I could just get there, it's the Disneyland. It's the utopia of my happiness. But if you don't know how to enjoy the journey, if you don't know how to enjoy the winds and the roads and the ups and downs and the storms that you're going through, it doesn't matter when you get there. Chances are you probably won't get there. But you aren't going to be happy, because if you aren't happy now, you won't be happy there, because happiness is truly an inside job. It's not about what's taking place around you. It's about what's taking place inside of you. Therefore, don't set goals that are focused as much on the result of happiness. It's okay to have destination goals. It's okay to go, I want to reach a certain level of financial status. I want to, have so many new customers this year. I want to expand our customer base or, branch out with, other locations. That's fine. But don't attach your happiness to achieving those certain things, because you can have happiness in the journey to each one of those new goals. Secondly, happiness isn't the purpose of life. It's the byproduct of a life lived on purpose. So if all your goals are really centered again around, I got to be happy, and I can't really be happy until I hit this certain place in life, again, you're chasing the wrong thing. Happiness, like feelings, is a byproduct. It's not the goal. And so if I just live my life on purpose, God's purpose, I stay on purpose and mission within your business, you staying on mission with your goals and the culture you're wanting to create, and you stay on task, ultimately you'll have your happy moments. And but you'll also have your sad moments too. But it's okay, because that wasn't the goal, is to be happy. That was just a byproduct. We were happy today. I got to enjoy it, because it probably won't be that feeling tomorrow. And next, just a reminder, this kind of dovetails with last week. Happiness isn't a better life, but a better me. Because you can't always control what's taking place inside of your life. You can't always control the results. I like how Paul says it. He goes, somebody plants, somebody waters, but only God can give the increase. At the end of the day, I can only control the seeds I sow, but it's only God that can determine the amount of my harvest. And so I can't change my spouse, but you know what? I can change me. I can't always really change about how money reacts to me, but I can change about how I think about money. I can change how I handle money. But you can't always control certain circumstances surrounding your money. So if you just focus on what you can control, which is you and your world, the inside you, how you think, how you react, how you plan, how you lead yourself, then at the end of the day, you can always be happy, because it's a choice that you made, because you're controlling what you can control, and that's you. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Next week, we're going to start a new train of thought, and that is, I'm going to talk about longevity. How do you last? How do you build a company that lasts? How do you last as a leader? How do you get to the finish line and hear God say, well done, good and faithful servant? And we're going to have some fun, because we're going to actually go into the book of Revelation, and I'm going to teach leadership principles from the book of Revelation. So we're going to spend several weeks in there learning some great leadership principles. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the All Out Leadership Podcast. We hope you gained new biblical insight that challenged you to grow in your leadership. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, we would love your help in getting the content out farther. You can help by subscribing to the podcast at ericlawson.com/podcast and telling others about it. Next week, Pastor Eric will be back with another episode. So until then, we hope you have a great week being an all-out leader.